Welcome to Bold Talk. I'm Angela Belcamino. I'm so excited to have my guest today, all the way from Spain, Ada Lluch. Ada, thank you so much for
Amazing.
being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Angela. It's a
So I
pleasure.
always ask, oh yeah. I always ask, so I have relatives, I think we've discussed this, relatives in Belgium,
Uh-huh.
and there's a time difference. You're several hours ahead of us here in the US. So I always want to know, how's the future looking for us?
So far, so good. It's a very slow news day today. So,
So far, not too much
so
going
far,
on.
no, not at all. I was scrolling on X and I'm like, there's nothing going on today. So boring. I love when there's so many news going on and things to talk about. Today, it's kind of dead. I don't know
Yeah.
why. Hmm.
Well, there's certainly been no shortage of things to talk about lately, and
I
so
know.
maybe a quiet day is nice here and there.
True.
So you basically spent your life in Spain, correct? Born and raised?
I did. I actually lived in Spain since I was born until I was 22 years old.
And
So
you're still there now. Yeah.
right now I'm in Rome, Italy, but I lived in the US for 2 years and a half. I actually just moved from the US this past December. So it's been 10 months since I'm back in Europe, but I'm mostly in Italy, but I'm also in Spain and traveling all over. So I don't really have like a base as of right now.
What brought you to Italy currently?
Well, we got a house with my ex-husband Joey here, just for vacations and stuff. And I love Italy so much. I love Rome so much. I have nothing to do here. I don't have a job. I don't have anything here. I just love this city so much. I don't know if you have ever been in Rome, but it's the most beautiful city ever.
I have not, and I didn't know you were there right now. So I've been dying to get to Italy. I've only been to Italy once in my life years ago when I was at the end of high school. And I went to Venice, like the Venice Verona area, and I loved it. I think it's still my favorite place that I've ever been. So what's Rome like? What do you love about it?
So basically, the entire civilization was founded here in Rome, and that's amazing. And you just walk through the streets, and there's so much history. The architecture is beautiful. You have churches everywhere, sculptures everywhere. Everything is so old but beautiful and elegant. And even though there are a lot of tourists here, I feel like it's high quality tourists. Like I love them. I love talking with people from all over the world who comes to Rome just to enjoy history, and I just love everything, and the food. The food is
What's the best
amazing.
food that you've had there? I know it's probably like, I don't know, people
Pasta.
think like pizza, pasta.
Honestly, not to sound cliche, but the pasta is just so good, and the gelatos. I literally eat a gelato every single day since I'm here, and I don't get fat. It's amazing because in the US I would eat salads and be super healthy
Yeah.
and I'm like bloated and fatter. And here I eat literally gelatos, pasta, pizza, and I'm skinny.
Yeah, that's something that I also talk about when I go to Belgium, like when I go to Europe, whenever I've been, I'm always thinking I'm going to gain weight, like, but it's just, this is something I talk about on social media too. The food is so much healthier and
It
fresher over
is.
there. It's wild.
It's a
It's a
big
problem.
difference. I know. I promise you, when I was living in the US, the main problem I had, and it sounds so ridiculous, but it was the food. I promise you, I struggled so much with the food because I'm so used that here, for example, bread, it has flour, water, salt, and that's it. And in the US, it had like 30 plus ingredients, a piece of
Including
bread.
sugar, like sugar and bread. What?
I know, right? Since when that happens? So if you add up everything that you eat on a daily basis, it's just like so unhealthy, the food in the US. Unless you spend like $500 buying food in a super natural organic place, which we don't have that much money to do that. So
Yeah, well, I'm happy that we're talking about it. I think it's out there more. We're drawing awareness to that issue, so I am excited for that. And obviously, speaking up and advocacy and activism is something that's really important to you from what I can tell. Say the quiet things out loud, discuss the issues, and I think we're very much on the same page with that. So as we kind of transition into that, though, I'm kind of curious, though. So we've talked about Italy, but I have also never been to Spain. And what area of Spain are you from?
So I am from a small town named Tortosa. That's like 2 hours from Barcelona in Catalonia.
Okay.
Um,
And what's it like there?
well, right now it feels like Marrakesh, Morocco. It's a fucking. I'm sorry, I cannot say that word. I'm so sorry.
You can, it's
It's
okay.
hell. It's
Yeah,
hell.
you're fine.
It's hell. I
That was the
promise you.
cutest cursing I've ever heard. The cutest.
I'm so unspoken. No, but seriously, we have a serious immigration problem in Spain more than in Italy. And in Italy, they have it as well. Not as bad as in Spain, but right now, when I go to my hometown, especially, it's a very small town, as I said, small city, not town. It's literally Africa. Like I walk around the city center, which was supposed to be beautiful, full of cafes and Spanish people, and it's just like Africans who look at you dirty, who even comes to you to not attack you, but like to bother you, ask you for money, or even to steal from you. And this is happening all over Spain. Of course, if you go to a super posh city or posh area, you won't see it as much. But in the vast majority of Spain, the immigration is so out of control. It's insane.
Wow. And I mean, this seems to be going on in a lot of places. How long ago do you feel like this started, that you started, feeling this way or seeing this?
Well, it all started thanks to Angela Merkel when she opened the borders in the European Union about 10 years ago with all the wars. But I feel it got really bad since COVID. It's like every time I go back, because as I said, I travel a lot, every time I go back to my hometown and my home country, it's worse. It's getting exponentially worse day by day by day. But for the past few years, it's been getting even worse and faster than what it should be.
Wow. Do you still have family there? Family
I
and friends?
do. I do have all
Wow.
my family and almost all my friends there. So they explain to me what they have to live day by day. And of course, I see it when I'm there, but at the end of the day, I'm not spending every day there, but they are, and they have to face the consequences of this mass migration crisis. That's why it bothers me so much because I'm so protective over my family. And I have two beautiful grandfathers who are 80 years old, and they are at risk by going to take money out of the ATM or things like that. And that really bothers me. Like it really frustrates me.
Yeah, well, I can imagine it's something that's constantly on your mind, especially as you're in Italy and they're there. And obviously, you grew up here, and your country is very near and dear to your hearts. And having to think and worry for people's safety and all of that, if that's how you're feeling, day to day, it's hard to have peace of mind.
Exactly. And more because, as I always say, I'm so annoying because I always say that, but I really want to become a mom. I really want to, if God wants me to. And I'm thinking for my future kids, even like if I become a mom and move back to Spain, what is it going to happen with them? Are they going to have to wear a burqa when they go to school because Islamists are taking over the entire city? Like, I'm really worried about our future generations, what they will have to encounter and face because we were the weak generation that couldn't stop this migration crisis.
Wow. Yeah, that's heavy stuff, because it is somewhere that you hope to stay and remain and live and raise a family, it sounds like,
I
and
hope
you're
so.
concerned for the future of it. Is your family and friends like experiencing, incidents regularly?
Yes. For example, my grandparents, about 2 years and a half ago, they inherited a house in the old part of my hometown from an old aunt that didn't have kids or anything. So they had this house for sale. And one day the neighbors called them and they are like, "Oh, did you sell the house already?" And they were like, "No, we did not sell the house." So they were squatters and they were very afraid, but they went there by themselves and they opened the door because they didn't change the lockers still. and they had to face Pakistani and Gypsy people that were in their house squatting, which they could very easily have killed them or hurted them. Thank God nothing happened to them. But they were this close of losing the house just because squatting is legal, for example, in Spain, you know? Then I
Yeah.
have a cousin that just got his phone stolen for the second time in 1 year the other day. And then I have friends of my cousin that were partying in my hometown and they were hurted by Moroccan guys who went with a cigarette and just like hurt them, burned them all over. So it's a daily thing that happens to almost everyone who doesn't have the privilege to live in a gated community or to have personal security.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I can see why you're concerned. Is this the main, was it seeing this stuff that kind of caused you to become more vocal and, you know, because it seems like you've kind of built your social media pretty quickly. Like you joined Twitter X in 2016. Well, yeah, it was Twitter then, right? In 2016, and your following has grown. Like you've built it pretty quickly, and it seems that it's really important to you to speak up.
I actually started 3 years ago. Like I had my Twitter account since I was a teenager, which I did not use at all. And December of 2022, I started my ex account kind of as a joke. I started talking about all this mass migration crisis and some news topics, but I had it as a joke. So I actually built my following from 1,000 maybe followers I had maximum from my old friends till now in 3 years. It was very, very quick. And I never expected to have followers or to have any type of voice in this movement because I'm not a journalist or I'm not a politician, I don't have this background on that. But I guess the people cares about what I have to say and I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think is the reason that you've been so successful?
I honestly don't know. I think it's because I'm not filtered. Like I literally just say whatever is on my mind. And sometimes I might be a little bit over the top, or maybe sometimes I'm funny, I hope, but I don't even know what I did to deserve such an amazing support and little online family. But I guess God wanted that this way, and I'm very happy and thankful for that.
Yeah, well, I think it really speaks to. I just recently did an event, the Moms for Liberty Summit. I was there and spoke on a panel about, using your voice and using humor in social media, like tips for content creation, and in sort of reflecting on it and how people are successful. There's no exact recipe for how people.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I definitely think there's something to, authenticity and being yourself and those issues that, spark passion in you, which is definitely seems to be your story. If you really hone into that and bring that to the table, it seems like, it's very relatable and people connect with your message. And it seems to be a concern, people are connecting to your concerns and the way that you're speaking about them.
Absolutely. And I also think that a lot of people is very afraid to actually speak up against these issues because unfortunately in Spain at least, it does have a lot of consequences. Like you get kicked out of colleges, of universities, of you get maybe fired from your job. So a lot of people who think like me likes my content, but at the same time, they cannot express all of this frustration because they cannot deal with the consequences. So maybe that's also why I have some more followers because there's very few people who are actually not afraid to speak up, and I get them because the consequences can be so brutal. It's really it has to be worth it to speak about it because no one wants to lose their job or their friends or their career or anything. But at the same time, it's so necessary to do so. So
It's a really good point. It takes, and it's not just courage and bravery, but I think that's so inspirational. And I think you're modeling that for other people. Um, yeah, absolutely. I think it gives other people courage, but also keeping in mind that, yeah, the situation is not the same for everyone. The consequences look different depending on where you are. And I think we're all pretty on edge, lately with the recent, assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I think it's really on everyone's minds more than ever. Have you faced any, consequences or backlash for, for speaking out? And
I did. In the beginning, I lost 80% of my friends. I remember when I first got viral, it was like within the first 2 weeks of starting using Twitter back then. It was 1 month before it became X. I got for 1 week like 100 messages of all my friends and all friends telling me I don't want to be your friend anymore, blah, 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 blah. So that was hard back then because I barely had followers. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know I would have a future from it. And then, as of today, because I went a little viral 2 weeks ago in Spain for a TV show, so I got a lot of followers from Spain, which I did not have in the past. So I have so many death threats or people wishing nasty things on me or telling me, when you come back to your hometown, watch out you don't fall into the river, or things like that, which of course they scare me a little bit, but hopefully nothing will happen to me. They reached out to my old university because the university reached out to me saying they had a bunch of journalists asking for my academical experience and all my notes and everything. So they do get really into your lives trying to destroy you.
yeah, I mean, I can relate to that. It's awful. Getting, obviously having people disagree with you is one thing. I think that's natural. And I think
Mhm.
you and I can agree that we welcome that because
Of
it's,
course.
it's pretty, it's impossible for everyone to agree, and having the conversations is important. Um, but yeah, bringing it to that level of aggression or violence or threats is a whole nother world, and it's scary. There's certainly a lot of hate and negativity, but then yeah, there's that whole other level. I can also relate to, so when you say you lost those friends, did you sort of transition from being a little bit more liberal or on the left to being less so? Is that kind of where that came from?
I did. I
Yeah.
actually, I never used to have critical thinking in the past, meaning that if the news, the mainstream media news, or the masses were saying, oh, we have to get vaccinated, I would think, okay, I have to get vaccinated. Like all these mainstream topics, I would just believe whatever they believed without even questioning why I was believing that. And it actually was when I met Joey Manarino, my ex-husband, which he was working in politics as well. And we would have debates all the time because he would tell me his point of view, which I never even heard of before because I would not even check Twitter before. So that's how I started creating a little bit my critical thoughts. Not even agreeing with him 100%, but he did open my mind a little bit and showed me that there are different realities and we don't have to believe what everyone believes in order to be right.
Yeah. Wow. Because I can relate to that too. Like, I feel, you want to think that, I don't know, not everyone, but in general, media has your best interests in mind, like to inform the public. And so it is kind of, it kind of reminds me of, like, when you think your parents can do no wrong, you think they're perfect
Exactly.
and they want the best for you. And then you realize they're not perfect. And there's these, like, it's a tough realization to come to.
It really is. And I feel like a lot of people, especially in Europe, still believes what the mainstream media has to say. For example, as I said, my grandparents are really old and they don't read the news or they don't have phones or anything. So they just watch the news on the TV. So they think whatever the journalist on the TV says, it's their reality. And they don't even question that. And I've been there. That's why I'm able to understand them and not judge them, even though I try to educate them. And a lot of people believe that in Europe. Whatever the journalists say, it's the real truth. There's no other options. They are not allowed to lie to us. And they just don't seem to realize that there's an entire world outside the TV that it's very different from what they say.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you agree, but it happens on both sides, right? With the right and the left
Of course, of
in,
course. I
in the
think the
media.
most important thing, and I always try to tell my followers, is to question everything and to create your own opinion based on just your own rational opinion. Don't base it on other people's opinions. Just read the news from the left, from the right, from the center, and then you come to the conclusion by yourself so you don't get inspired by other people that might not be right, you know?
It makes too much sense, Ada. It makes too much sense. um, yeah, I don't know why people kind of shy away from that. I don't know why people are so scared. Like, to me, it is kind of common sense. The gather as much information as possible to inform your decision and your beliefs and your opinions, right? So why are we not wanting to do that? Why are we scared of that? Like, we should challenge and test our beliefs and why we believe the things that we do.
Exactly, and question why do we believe those things. I do that with myself all the time. And actually, like things that I might have said 2 years ago, I no longer believe them because we are humans. We are not perfect. We outgrow ourselves. We learn. We have more experience. So we shouldn't be entitled to say whatever I say now. I'm gonna keep believing that forever. But we should embrace changing and learning and getting better and correcting ourselves. And I feel like a lot of people in both sides are very afraid of doing so because ego, I guess, because we all have a big ego. But we should not have that much of a big ego and just try to get better day by day by day. At least every day when I wake up, my goal is to be a little better than the day before, even if that means telling everyone, I'm sorry, I was wrong.
I love that. I feel like we have so much in common, that maybe we wouldn't have that. And that's why I love having these conversations, is it really just brings that, human level, that level of humanity, and relating to and realizing we do have so much in common. And that people think that they know you, they know us, right, based on our social media persona or the content, but there's just so much more to a person than what you put out there on social media.
Absolutely. There's like an entire world. I try to show how I am on social media, but they really don't know who I am. Like, I'm so kind with everyone, I'm respectful, I'm sweet, I try to understand everyone in real life. And then I check social media, and all the comments are like, oh, you're arrogant, or you're so hateful, or you're whatever. And it's like, that's so not true in real life. And I wish I could express myself more in a way that people could get to know me, but it's hard behind a screen. Because at the end, you have to look at people in the eyes, you have to talk with them for them to really get to know you.
Yeah, absolutely. I experienced the same thing. And that's part of why I wanted to start this podcast and have guests on like yourself, because I feel like it gives people a good look, especially with the video component, being able to connect and see someone's tone and body. I feel like
Mhm.
it just gives a really better look at the individual. And I think people can totally get it wrong, because how are you, again, with putting needing as much information as possible to form an opinion, you can't,
Exactly.
right.
You cannot
Um,
base it on a few posts.
so I love that. And it is, you are so warm and
Thank
positive, and
you.
yeah, absolutely. And I can see how, and I think, yeah, I can see how it seems like that is something you're misunderstood about.
Thank you so much. I remember you and me used to have a little bit of beef back in the day.
What was our beef over?
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
But
What was our, what was our beef over? Do you remember?
I think we both have like big foreheads, so we would talk about that a lot. I think
Oh
so,
man.
but I
It
don't know.
looks
It's
like
not
mine.
too-
It looks
what?
like looks like I'm beating you. Yeah. The
I'm
comments on
not
this
sure.
podcast
I'm not sure.
are going to be that mine's. I think big foreheads are beautiful. So
They are. I
right.
always say we have like a big brain under them, so that's why we have them big. That's always my answer. Have a big brain.
Exactly. And there's so many beautiful people with big foreheads. Speaking of things that I never thought about until I put myself out there on social media, I never in my life was told or thought about having a big forehead until I started.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
was
it's just
bullied over that. Everyone would tell me
oh,
all the time I had the biggest head because I have a big head as well, not only the forehead, or a big forehead. Everyone would mock me for my big forehead. So I'm so used to saying I have a big
so
forehead.
like what age were you when that was like how old were you?
A kid, like 8, 9, 10, when the guys are the meanest.
Wow. Is it a thing in Spain at all? But or is it
They
about
bully a lot. They bully a lot in Spain. And I was like
okay.
so shy. I was such a shy girl. So I would be the just quiet and saying yes to everything. But
Well, that's not what's happening now.
I know.
You're
Maybe that's what created me.
Yeah, right. You had instilled this fire in you that was meant to come out in
Exactly.
yeah, channeling it in a positive way though. So
I think
that's
so, yeah.
yeah, no, that's beautiful. I was gonna say on your persona online comes across very confident, unapologetic, which you sort of described. And I was gonna ask, have you always been that way?
I don't even think I'm that much confident in myself right now. Like I have so many insecurities. Like so many days I look at pictures of myself and I'm like, damn, I'm so ugly, or I could have done this better. Like I'm so perfectionist over myself. So it's shocking for me because I do have some confidence, of course, and I do respect myself a lot, and I have very strong boundaries, which I have been creating over the time. I was not always like that, but I'm not really like that in real life. Like I have so many insecurities. You would be surprised.
You would, and I appreciate you sharing that because that's another thing I think so many of us can relate to. It's another thing that might be misunderstood is we can come across as confident, and it doesn't mean that we're not, but there can also be, right? We're very, as human beings, complex, complicated, and there's many
Exactly.
sides of us. So you can be confident and also have insecurities.
Exactly. And I'm very confident of who I am and that I know I deserve respect and I deserve to be treated right. But at the same time, when I read some comments, I don't know, like, oh, you are ugly or your head is big, I'm like, okay, they're right. Or you sound stupid. Then I watch the video and I'm like, maybe I did sound stupid. Like you have a lot of insecurities, even having followers, even being good looking or between like inside this beauty standards. You that doesn't mean you don't have insecurities or you don't struggle in the everyday life. Or I overthink a lot too. Like if I text someone I like and they don't text me back, I'm like, maybe they don't like me. What's wrong with me? It's just like a normal human being.
Totally. And very relatable. I struggle with the same things. And I think some of it is our personalities and also our background of, just a lot of different things, whether it's being
Mhm.
bullied or our families or all that stuff does factor into shaping us as well as societal, influences and messages. Is there anything that you think has contributed to like the insecurities that you have?
I think, and that's like super personal, which I never shared with anyone, but it's the first thing that came into my mind. My first boyfriend, when I was a teenager, left me for another girl, and that broke my self confidence to a point you could not even believe. And I feel like since then, I had lower self confidence because I always thought I'm replaceable or someone is better than me. So I think that's like the main thing I have. Um, of course, being bullied as a kid, I wasn't severely bullied, but I was bullied, and it was hard for me to have friends and everything. So unconsciously, maybe it did affect me a little bit, even if I don't have it present in my everyday life. But yeah, it's just like comparing myself to other women and thinking there's people who can replace me anytime and be better than me. I think
Yeah, and
so.
I think social media perpetuates that as well because social
Mhm.
media is a lot of comparing, right, to other people and in society in general. But thank you so much for sharing, such personal
Welcome.
stuff. It's very insightful because a lot of times we don't stop to reflect on, certain things that we go through in life and how they impact who we are, or our insecurities, or our struggles, or our challenges. And so, I mean, I think that's a really important connection. And I'm sure, you feel like there's something to it. How old were you when, and we're not going to get into this, but I was just curious how old you were with that breakup
I
that you
think
were
I'm
talking.
16. It was
Yeah.
like the typical teenager love, but it does build you as a person. And I love to do like inner personal work a lot. Lately, I have not been doing it so much, but I love to listen to podcasts about inner growth and stuff like that. So I do reflect a lot about everything I lived and how it shaped me of who I am or what things I should work on. So I think it's important. I don't know, as human beings.
So yeah, no, I mean that's my jam. That's why I ask, questions like that. And again, I think it just um I heard that earlier when you were talking about, valuing growth and evolving. And that's also something that I value and is happening with me, that I think a lot of people are having a hard time understanding. Again, so much I can relate to you on in terms of, people canceling me or being mad, or friends, um, and all of that. So I hear, a lot of that, like, reflection. And so my background is in mental health. So that's why,
Really?
yeah. So to me, I find it so interesting to hear about people's, backgrounds, and because I do, it all factors into who we are and why we are the way that we are.
It really does. And I always try to not, even though online I do judge people a little bit, but in real life I try to not judge people so much, because we never know what this person is going through or went through in this life. So maybe someone come up as an asshole or someone super rude, but maybe he's been severely bullied or dealing with suicidal thoughts or going through an abusive relationship. So I always try to have a very open minded mindset when it comes to dealing with other people, because even if they are rude to me, I know it's not personal. I know it's not because of me, but what they are dealing through behind closed doors. So it's very important that we talk more about mental health, especially, and that's something I want to talk more on my social media, men's mental health. I know so many men who struggle so much with mental health, suicidal thoughts, that they just cannot talk about it because they are men and they are supposed to be strong, which they are, but at the same time, they are allowed to have feelings and to be down and to get help. And that's a taboo topic that I think we should be talking more about.
Absolutely. And that is actually something I was going to ask you about, because I saw you did a post about how we need to talk more about mental health and men's mental health in particular. And I couldn't agree with you more. I think a lot of, men receive the message that it's vulnerable, or it's feminine to, to be emotional. We can't cry, right? We can't be emotional, but we're all human and we all have emotions. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, and the more you bottle them up and repress them, they come out in negative ways, unfortunately.
That's so true. And I think there's like two things on that. The first one, that yes, men need more help, mental health, and they need to talk more about it, even if it's with their friends or girlfriends or family, but they need to express how they feel. That's why they are killing themselves 4 times more than women, which is insanity. And the other one that's a little bit more controversial, I feel like there is an epidemic of low testosterone men, but literally in their blood, they have low testosterone, and that's not healthy for them, and that makes them more emotional or more easy to struggle mentally. So we should also address this epidemic, which what is creating that they have low testosterone. And I'm not saying that as an insult. Like they literally have low testosterone, and that's the hormone that they need in order to thrive as men. So these both topics should be addressed properly in a respectful way. Like I don't care if a man has low testosterone, but why? They should have high testosterone in order to be happy and healthy. So that's very interesting to me, and I don't feel like people is talking that much about that. Like they are using it as an insult, which I probably used it at some point, but it should not be an insult, but a topic that concerns us because it's really concerning.
Agreed. And another thing that I love that I've heard, in talking with you, is your value of accountability as well, which is another one that's important to me also. And I hear you saying it even in holding yourself accountable, and myself include. Like, I think it is really people, going back to, I don't know, people's issues. um, people feeling like they know everything. Like you mentioned, ego. Sometimes people just really want to be right, or they can't admit when they're wrong. And they're really stubborn when it comes to that, and defensive. Um, I think can be really problematic. So, I commend you on raising awareness. I think the more we can raise awareness, break stigma, and talk about these things is for everyone's benefit, because yeah, making more people aware of what's going on and getting it out in the open.
Of course, and we need to understand that it is okay to be wrong, and we are not less professional to be wrong. We are not less human to be wrong. Actually, it's the most normal thing. We are all humans at the end of the day. No one is perfect. There was only one perfect man that ever existed, and that was Jesus Christ. So anyone can be perfect, and we all have the right to be wrong, and that's fine as long as you can acknowledge it, as you said. And it's so important about that, that I don't respect someone less because they said something wrong 2 years ago. I respect someone more because they can acknowledge they were wrong and they don't have the ego to not acknowledge that. And I feel like in our world, like people with followers or maybe with a name within politics, there are such strong egos. It literally breaks my mind. It's like, how can someone have, and normally the people with the biggest egos are the people with the less confidence, which that's very funny.
That is funny. That I find that true in a lot of ways. You see, even so, I worked in TV and film for a while, and some
Oh,
of the actors and actresses on set, the ones who sort of had this like diva attitude, it's like they had this need to prove themselves. It was just really interesting. Where the ones who just had the talent were just like down to earth, and so it is a really interesting thing to see.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Correlation.
the harder you have to try to like prove something to people, the less it's probably true. Some
Exactly.
something to that effect.
Yeah. And this applies to everything. Like when you go on a dinner and someone is like showing off, like, I have 10 Rolexes and a Ferrari and a villa. Okay, so most likely this person is broke. And the one who's wearing just jeans and a white t shirt maybe have millions in their bank account. You
Exactly.
always find it this way. Of course, there are some
Totally.
exceptions, but normally it's
Totally.
the
No,
rule.
I agree with you. It's like when people are trying too hard or they're really trying to sell you
Right.
something, like I never do this and this is it's like, you wanna
Wait,
like,
weren't you? I think I saw a picture of you with that guy that went viral 2 days ago, Nail something.
oh, Nick O'Neill, right?
This, how was him? I'm so intrigued about him.
Oh, I have not met him. Are you talking that was an AI that was not a real photo. I
Oh,
haven't
it was
met
a,
him.
okay.
We
I
follow
thought
each
you
other
met
on
him.
No, I have not actually met him. So, we'll see,
I
maybe in
thought
the
it was
future.
a, okay, okay, it's
You
AI.
can't see that's just a testament to AI right now. Nobody knows what is real and what is
And
not real.
I'm so naive and so genuine. I cannot distinguish what's AI and what's not. That's very problematic, actually, because I really cannot see the difference. I believe everything.
I think what's the scariest about it is that people can create whatever they want with your image. That scares me, right? In terms
I
of using
know.
and people think it's you. That part scares me.
And now it's like so real. You really cannot tell the difference. Like you really can. I remember I scrolled fast. I'm like, oh look, until I met with him, and then I continued. I was like,
Exactly. Oh, that was real. Speaking of like trusting, it kind of goes to your point about trusting media, right? Like trusting the news. That it's kind of the same thing. You
no,
just trusted. Oh yeah, that happened. That's real. And now like you have
exactly.
to
And
question
it's not.
everything. Everything.
And now that they can clone the voices and everything, and they can make videos, you don't even know if they really said that or not. Which
Right.
it's an entire new revolution, AI. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing and scary, terrifying at the same time. So it's all the things.
I know.
So I want to go back to because I feel like so many people can relate to this piece about insecurities and things like that. How do what helps you build your confidence, you personally, or feel more confident? What are some things that help boost your confidence?
Okay, so starting by the superficial things that actually does boost my confidence, even though it's superficial, and I will go more to the spiritual things. I just, when I'm wearing an outfit that really fits me very good, and it's like, for example, white fits me very good, or baby blue, baby pink, or my colors, that boosts my confidence a lot. When I promise you, when the outfit is on point, I feel so much more beautiful and people can tell I feel more confident. Then I love to take care of myself. I love to do my facials, my skincare, my makeup, put masks on my hair. So I really take care of myself in a superficial level because I love myself and also because it makes me feel better after all. And then on a spiritual thing, I know Jesus is with me all the time. I'm at the end of the day, we are all product of God and God is perfect. So we should all be graceful for who we are, even if we do everyone looks different. And I have a big forehead, someone doesn't, someone have big lips. We are all sons of the same God. And that just knowing that Jesus is with me at all times and God is with me at all times, that makes me feel very confident. And I never had this confidence before until I met Jesus in this way. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Those are great suggestions, advice. I can definitely relate to it seems superficial, but you're absolutely right. There is something to it. Uh, I also am a big advocate of self-care, and that looks like so many different things. So I love that. And it's different for everyone. And it's good to always have as many ideas as possible for people to try out. And some days, you need one thing and some days you need another thing. But certainly like all of that of taking care of yourself, same in what you wear. Yeah.
Exactly. And when you do things that align with your values, your self confidence also boosts a lot. For example, if I wake up, I get ready, I dress beautiful, I eat healthy, I go to church, maybe I work, I feel productive. Those days, I will feel way more confident than if I wake up at noon, I wear something ugly, I don't do my makeup, I eat a burger. Those days, I will not feel as confident as the other days. So I think like aligning your actions with your values and feeling like you're doing the right thing and you're feeling productive and good with your actions, that also boosts your confidence.
Absolutely. And I think that that's an important reminder on days where you're not feeling 100%. That's something in
Mhm.
mental health that I see. It can be harder to get yourself up and out and doing those things when you're maybe a little more depressed or down or sad. But those are the things
Exactly.
that you need. Those
The
are the things.
most.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So it's remembering that those things do, and easier said than done. And some days, you just can't do it depending on what you're going through. But it's
And I'm the
absolutely,
first one who has those days. Like, of course, I don't do that every day, but still, it's when you have to work a little harder to feel
yeah.
better.
Yeah, sometimes with my clients, it's like, it's just a matter of like, it seems like simple things, but it's like just, forcing yourself out the door, putting on your shoe, like, it's those
Exactly.
little baby steps of just like getting yourself up and out.
Mhm.
And then once you're doing it, once you're out or once you're at the gym or whatever it is, you feel better once you get yourself
So
there.
much better. And then everything flows better in your day as well. Like the days where I feel beautiful and cute, everything goes so much better than the days that I feel ugly and bloated because I ate bad or things like that. But again, it's easier said than done because I never had depression myself, but I had to deal with people who did have very severe and depression and suicidal thoughts, and it's hard. And it's hard for them and it's hard for the people around them that have to push them out of there. So I understand them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, we all can relate to that. Either we deal with, there's so many people, either ourselves or people we know that struggle with mental health. So I think the more that we can talk about it, it helps others to feel less alone. Cause right, when people are going through things, they think that it's just them and there's something wrong with them.
Exactly.
But so many of us, yeah, deal with
Goes
it.
through that. And that I have to say, it helped me a lot because I was helping this friend a few months ago who was on this big depression with suicidal thoughts. So when I would go online and read posts of other people going through the same, as me as a person who was just helping this other person, it could soothe me so much. and thinking, okay, I'm not the only one who has to be in this weird situation. There's so many people going through the same. And of course, they don't say it. I don't say it. My friend wasn't saying it. No one is saying it. But there's so many people dealing through the same things. So I think the more we speak about it, the more we are encouraging other people to speak about it, and the more we normalize that it is it's okay to be like that. I wish it wasn't. I wish it didn't exist, but it exists, and we have to deal with this, you know. And by hiding it, it doesn't make it go away.
No, exactly. And that's something thankfully, I've worked with a lot of clients who, had never done therapy before, never saw didn't realize the value in talking about things. A lot of young men. I was working most recently before moving to Florida. I was working in an alternative to incarceration program with young people. With criminal legal charges, and a lot of them had never done therapy. Their families, they kind of grew up in this environment where it was like, we don't talk about things, these things are private. But when people have trauma and they've experienced deaths of close loved ones and violence and all that kind of stuff, how do you go through life never talking about those things?
I know. And especially with trauma. Look, I had a big trauma some years ago because my grandma, my other grandma, died suddenly on the street on her birthday. It was like a very hard process for me. And I never actually worked on that. So a few months ago, I did this therapy that's called, correct me please, like EDLM or
Yeah,
something like that.
EMDR.
This, I did
EMDR.
that. I did it only for 5 sessions. Life changing. I promise you. It is
Yeah,
so necessary to work on your trauma.
I have heard that. I'm not trained in EMDR specifically, but when I was in my graduate program, we learned a little bit about it, and I have heard such success about it. Definitely
It is
something that I might look into in the future to get trained in and do.
absolutely. I recommend it so much. And it's the oddest thing ever. Like you have to
With the
relive the
eye movements, yeah,
yes. You
yeah.
like keep reliving the situation and then you just express whatever comes to your mind because a lot of traumas are linked to other traumas and maybe an emotion links you to a trauma that links you to another trauma. So by this hypnosis kind of thing, you just take out everything from your subconscious mind and you just end up so relieved. And I don't know, for me it was life changing and only 5 sessions were enough.
And I've heard that from a lot of people. So I think that's I'm really glad that came up so people listening can look
Mhm.
into it because there's a lot of trauma out there and people have deal with life with
Exactly.
a lot. Life be life in, right? And
Exactly.
um, so I also want to, because I really connected when you said this also earlier about going back to getting canceled by friends or being unfriended by friends. That's really difficult. And I'm experiencing that somewhat right now too. Whereas, I'm very anti label and anti boxes. But I think people have this tendency to want to put people in boxes and figure them out. But it's not really that simple, right? As I said before, people are complicated and we're growing and evolving. And so right now, being the bold lib, but I'm more open to having conversations and, like you said, critical thinking and just being open minded just and being able to call out things on the left that I don't agree with or I'm questioning, right? Um, so a lot of people are confused right now, and even close friends and family for me right now, I'm getting a lot of pushback, and it's difficult. So I'm wondering how you dealt or have been dealing with that.
I'm so sorry to hear you're going through that. I know how hard it is, especially when it comes from people you actually love and that you thought they would be unconditional. Because for me, I'm so unconditional. Once I love someone, I'm unconditional. So even if someone is a communist, my best friend was a communist, to say, I would love them as much as I love them right now. I would not care. So it's hard to realize that they were not as unconditional with you as you would be for them, and that breaks your heart. But it's nice to realize it sooner than later. They are showing you their true colors, and that's only proving to you who they really are and has nothing to do with you. Um, so what helped me was, of course, Jesus and knowing I was on the right side of history, I really believe what I have to say. I do that with every cell in my body. So I was just being honest to myself. And if they don't want to be my friends or they don't want to support me because they have a different belief as I do, they can go fuck themselves. I'm so sorry. Like,
Don't be sorry. No need to be sorry about that.
and I made so much more friends than friends I lost over it. And funny enough, now that I have some followers and some attention in Spain, everyone is coming back. Which of course I have them all blocked and I block them if they text me like fuck you. Like you told me you didn't want to be my friend and now you suddenly want to be my friend, fuck you, you know. But they all come back once they see you are doing great and maybe you are right. But it doesn't align with my values, people that dump you just because your political beliefs, because I think a friendship is and a person is way more than what they vote for, what they stand for. It's how they deal with a daily life. So I would say you're gonna find better friends. You are not wrong. They are showing to you they are actually the people without empathy. And it's funny enough, the left, I'm sorry, I know you're leftist, but the left always say they are superior morally, but at the end of the day, they are the first one that are judging you for doing something different for them, even though the right is not doing that to you. So
That's a great point because that I have been experiencing that more on the left lately. So, the proof is in the pudding. Like you got to practice what you preach, et cetera. And so if people can point out the hypocrisy, and like you're not making a great case for yourself. So, and there's so many people, feeling that way right now. So, I mean, that was just a mic drop. That was great. Great advice, great feedback. I couldn't agree with you more. I think when people show you your true colors, and I think the older that I get, I just want to surround myself with positive energy, people who lift you
exactly.
up. It's life is too short, and you don't want to waste time or energy on people that don't warrant it. And it's hard enough as it is. So
Absolutely. And you know, there's something that works for me. I don't know if you believe in God or not, but I'm just gonna give this advice that it always works for me. The prayer that it's the fastest prayer ever answered. When I meet someone new, or when I'm dealing with someone that I don't know if they are good for me or not, I pray to Jesus, like, please, Jesus, if this person is not for me, if this person doesn't have any lesson to teach me or anything positive to add in my life, remove them from my life. Like this. I promise you. Now that I'm single, every time I meet a man, I pray that. And they always remove them.
ooh,
Like right away, they stop talking to me. It's like, okay. So that's the
fantastic.
best prayer ever.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so great. Yeah. Well, just right. It's a little bit also like just manifesting and just making very deliberate decisions about removing negative energy, bringing in the positive energy, and people. So I love
Exactly.
yeah. So, I mean, I can't, we only have a couple minutes left. I just want to give you a chance to, speak on any issues that you're really passionate about right now. I know we've talked about some of them and anything that people can do for these causes and to help, with your concerns about Europe and also in the US, right? So,
Okay. So the main concern that I have right now, and I'm so annoying talking about it, it's really the mass migration we are living in Europe. And my call to action to people is to please speak up about it, to not be afraid, to bring visibility to the terror that we have to live every day on our streets, to vote when it's time to vote, to check on the voting records because in Europe we have different parties. So there are centrists, then far right, there are left, far left. So to actually check on the voting records of these parties when it's time to vote, because a lot of them that they are selling you an agenda, they vote for the opposite agenda, and that's happening in Spain a lot. So just to bring awareness to this issue, to not be scared, to denounce the thing that need to be renounced, and not for them, but for our future kids. And yeah, I think that's the main concern I have right now.
well, I think that your entire message today has been beautiful and
Thank you.
positive and very, very inspirational on really so many levels. And I really appreciate you, being vulnerable and willing to share personal stuff that I really think so many people are going to connect with in listening to this interview, this bold talk.
Thank you so
So
much.
Ada, you're lovely. Where can people find you? Anything that you want to shout out, promote?
Of course. So first of all, my ex account is Ada underscore its name underscore Yuk LLUCH, and my Instagram is just Ada Yuk. My entire name. They can find me there. I don't have any other social media for now, so I keep posting there all the time, especially on X. I'm so addicted to X.
Well, Ada, I thank you so much for being here today.
Thank
This
you.
honestly, you're super bold, and keep being bold, even when it isn't easy. That seems to be very much your message, and I hope we get a chance to connect in person at some time. I don't
Of
know.
course.
If you ever have plans to come to the U.S. or Florida or whatever, or if I'm in Europe, I
You're
would
welcome to come to Italy anytime.
I'm dying to come to Italy, so I will definitely let you know. If I'm over there, I do always, want to go see my family in Belgium. So, we should, hopefully I can make that happen sooner rather
You
than
let me
later.
know.
Yes, I
Thank you
definitely
so
will.
much.
Ada, I wish you all the best, all the love. Thank you so much for this incredibly bold talk.
Thank you.
Bold Talk.